Hi everyone, Cobweb Rose here, and I'm gonna make you guys a short series about food storage options while you're on trail. So today's video is going to cover probably the most popular food storage option that I saw when I was through hiking the AT in 2023, and that was the good old bear bag. So let's dive right in. There's a lot of reasons why people choose to bring a bear bag on their through hikes. Honestly, probably the top option is that it's lightweight. A lot of people just use a standard dry bag, although there are other customizable options you can get, and it weighs practically nothing when you're comparing it to the weight of your other gear. It's also a pretty cheap option, and it's easy to replace if something happens to it, because pretty much all the outfitters up and down the trail are gonna sell dry bags, or even if you can get to a local Walmart, their camping section will have some kind of dry bag that you can use as a food bag. These bags are usually waterproof because a lot of these dry bags are made out of sil nylon or even Dyneema, depending on who you purchase it from. So it's a really good option for keeping your food dry without having to use a bunch of extra Ziploc bags. It also fits larger volume foods. So if you want to pack out a pound of Cheetos, which I definitely did a couple of times on my through hike, it takes up a lot more volume in your bag, a lot more space in your bag than, let's say, a pack of tuna does. But if you're bear bagging it, you can work that in. You can fit that in because your bag has a certain amount of give and flexibility to it where you can store larger volume or weirdly shaped options. They're also usually fairly easy to load. If you get a long skinny bag, you have to load it from the top down just like you would a backpack. If you get a fat wide bag, which would be my personal recommendation if you're bear bagging it, you can kind of spread your stuff out more on the inside so it's easier to get to without having to pull all of your food out of it. Also, some of these bags you can purchase are actually going to be reflective or have some kind of reflective coating on whatever the name brand on the bag is. So it'll be a little easier to find your bear bag if you forget where you hung it or if you're getting out of camp in the dark. So all of these reasons are reasons why people choose to take a bear bag. It's convenient, it's lightweight, it fits a larger volume of food. And as you start eating through your food, you can roll down the top of your bear bag, you can squish it into a smaller part of your pack, and the fixed weight is very light. So once you empty out that bag, you're not carrying very much. Some of the reasons that people choose not to use a bear bag though are the number one reason in my book is you have to hang it every night you're in camp in order to store your food properly. And that means you have to, one, know how to do a good bear hang. You have to know how far from the tree to hang it, how far down, how far off the ground. You have to know either a PCT hang or just your standard bear hang. And you have to know what kind of tree limbs you can hang your bear bag from, which means every night you have to be out scouting around camp looking for trees that aren't dead or too close to your campsite or too close to a potential campsite for someone who may night hike in at 10 o'clock at night and set up camp not realizing there's a bear bag hanging over the tent site. You also have to know at least basic knots in order to tie your rope off and to tie your rope to your bear bag. So that's something to keep in mind if you're not somebody that's really good with learning knots or doesn't really retain that kind of information. This may not be the method for you to use to hang your food. Now, like I said before, as you eat through your food, your volume of your bear bag is going to change. And a lot of times that's a great thing for most through hikers because your backpack gets really light, but at the same time, you kind of have to adjust how you load your backpack because typically your food bag starts as the heaviest item in your backpack. So you want to put it more towards the middle. But as the week goes on, you may have to shift it to the top or to one of the sides and rearrange your bag so that your weight distribution is more even as you decrease the volume and weight of your bear bag. Now, you also need to carry a little extra gear with you for your bear bag. You have to carry a rope to hang your bear bag with, whether it's a skinny mini but strong piece of rope, or if you carry something heavier like paracord, you have to carry an appropriate length in order to hang it over a tree limb, and also it has to be able to take the weight of your and potentially some friends' bag if you hang together with other people. You also probably want to carry something like a rock sack to get your your rope weighted to throw it over a tree limb. And people do sell rucksacks. MC, Mountain Crusher, one of my hiking partners from the start of the trail, ended up getting a free Z-Packs Dyneema rock bag from someone who just didn't want it anymore. But you can also use any kind of bag that you've got laying around the house. This is actually a bug net bag, but it's pretty hardy, so you can use it as a rucksack. You may also want to attach a carabiner to it just for a little easier getting it on and off your rope every night. These bear bags are not critter proof, so if you're someone who doesn't like to hang their food but still wants to carry a bear bag, and yes, there are a lot of thru hikers who don't want to hang but want to carry the bear bag because of all the pros we talked about earlier. They're not critter proof, guys. So if you've got a mice problem at your campsite, that mouse will probably chew through your tent and then through your food bag and then into your food. So bear that in mind. I had a critter chew a hole in the side of my tent because it was the one night I couldn't fit my spoon into my bear can, and I put it in a side pocket and a critter chewed right through the side of my tent, and I had to Frankenstein sew it back together in the morning. And also some bear boxes at campsites will have holes rusted into them, and mice can get in and out, and they may chew a hole in your bear bag even if it's in a bear box at camp. So just something to consider. These bags are also not smell proof, so if you have it in your tent, chances are if there are rodents around or bears, they're gonna be able to smell it in your tent and they could come after it. So just keep that in mind if you are inclined to pack a bear bag but not hang it, friends. Now, these bags also have the potential to get stuck in trees. It's very rare just because a lot of times people will sacrifice their rope to be able to get their bear bag down if it does get stuck, but just keep that in mind. These are less durable options because you could potentially get holes in your bear bag or micro tears over time depending on what your bear bag is made out of. Now, that being said, let's talk a couple of bear bag options. Like I said, you can go to Walmart and grab a standard dry bag and use it for this. You can order one off Amazon. I ended up using this 13 liter Sea to Summit bag that I purchased from REI. They sell it for $33. It's 1.7 ounces. It is made out of steel nylon, which is a waterproof material, so it won't get heavier if it gets wet. It has a roll top closure to help keep water out, a buckle to close, and then a plastic hanging loop, which is super helpful. Now, this is one of those long, skinny options that I talked about earlier, so you may run into having to pull all of your food out to get something that you packed at the bottom that you didn't realize you wanted for dinner that night. So just keep that in mind when you're purchasing a size. I carried a 13 liter, but I would honestly recommend sizing up because it makes it easier to get food in and out of here and also gives you a little more give as far as the space is concerned. Sea to Summit has a 20 liter option. It's 2 ounces, $36. Or if you're feeling froggy and want to go for the 35 liter option, it's 2.6 ounces and it's $40. This is, like I said, is just one option for a bear bag. Another option for a bear bag is a small company that I really love. They're called Hilltop Packs, and they actually custom print Dyneema bear bags. So their small bear bag is 8 liters, it's 1.5 ounces, and it's a $64 base cost. Their large bag, which is what this one is 13 liters and is a 1.9 ounce bag and will run you $69 as a base cost. For $3 extra, you can get a sit flat bottom, which was great for me because it meant anytime I put the bag down on the ground, it didn't immediately fall over unless I've loaded it really poorly. And for an extra $6, you can get them to put a spoon stash in your bag, which is basically just a long piece of mesh on the inside of the bag that you can stick your spoon or other utensil in so it doesn't get lost in the abyss of your food bag. Now, this is a Dyneema bag, so it is completely waterproof. However, over time, it could get micro tears in it, in which case it wouldn't be completely waterproof. So just bear that in mind. Mine's starting to get a little stretched and wrinkly after being rolled so many times on trail, but it has a clip top closure, roll top, buckle, and then a fabric loop to hang your bag with. Like I said, the biggest thing I love about Hilltop Packs is that they will custom print your food bag, and that makes it super easy for you to see it when it's hanging up in the trees, or for you to find it if you're using a bear box at a shelter. Now, those are, like I said, just 2 options for bear bags. The options are kind of endless when it comes to bear bagging it, but those are my 2 favorites just because that's what I used when I was on my thru hike of the trail. Now, I wanted to end this video with a few of Mountain Crusher's pro tips for bear bag use and hangs. Mountain Crusher used a bear bag the entire trail and he really liked it. Now his number 1 advice for you bear bag users is get some kind of rock bag. And don't put sharp rocks in it because you could tear a hole in the side of your rock bag, which would be rather counterproductive. Also, use some kind of reflective rope when you hang your bear bag, because if you're coming back at 3 in the morning from stumbling out into the woods to go pee, you are not necessarily going to remember that your bear bag is hung here, but the rope goes like this. So you don't want to get clotheslined or trip over your own rope in the middle of the night. So if you put some reflective rope as your bear hang, it makes it a lot safer for you and a lot easier for you to find your bag. Also, don't hang too close to a tree. Like I said earlier, if you're gonna hang a bear bag, you kind of need to know the rules for hanging the bear bag. And you don't want it too close to a tree where a bear could reach out from the tree and pull your bag in. You don't want it too close to your limb where the bear could reach down and grab your bag, and you don't want it too close to the ground where literally anyone could reach up and steal your bag. Also, he recommends that when you guys are hanging your rope for your bear bag, stand farther back from that limb. Don't stand right underneath it and try to arc it over. He says it's a lot easier if you stand like 30 feet away and then just yeet your rock bag with your rope attached to it over your limb, because it's a lot easier, I guess, to judge where it's headed if you're farther back. He also says make sure that once your rock bag clears the limb, don't immediately jerk your rope back. Give it some slack, and what that will do is A, prevent the rock bag from coming back and hitting you in the face immediately, and B, will allow it to not wrap immediately around the tree limb and get your rock bag and your rope stuck in the tree. And I'm not entirely sure where he got this piece of advice, other than he definitely did this when we were on trail and I didn't know about it. But he says don't use your wallet or any other valuable items you have in your pack in place of a rock bag. Thank you, MC, for that advice. The reason he gives it is because, like I said, your rope could wrap around a tree limb and you could lose your rock sack. And a little pro tip from me, having hung bear bags before, always bring a little more rope than what you need, because if you do, worst case scenario, get your bag stuck, you're gonna have to sacrifice part of your rope to get your bag down. But you know what? When you get into camp that night, it doesn't matter that you had to cut your rope shorter, you still have to hang your bag at the next campsite you're at. So having a little extra rope is never a bad thing. And also it gives you a few more options as far as how high of a tree limb you can hang your bag from. And this is just your friendly reminder that no matter what food storage option you choose, please remember to leave space in your bag, your can, or your sack to store your smellable non-food items. For example, your toothpaste and your toothbrush, your trash bag, which could be up to a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, depending on how long you're on trail and how much trash you generate. Things like your utensils, which will also retain a certain amount of food scent, and your cook pot if you cook food in it. If you're just boiling water in it and it's not anywhere near food, it's not gonna have a food smell to it, so put it wherever you want. But if you cook in your pot, please remember you have to leave space in your food storage option to store your now food scented pot. So those are my pros, cons, options, and pro tips for bear bagging it on the AT. So I'll see you guys in our next installment where we talk sacks. Thanks for watching. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, and leave your comments with suggestions, pro tips, other options for bear bags, or friendly reminders for how to hang it appropriately in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching.